Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Now that I've pronounced the ISKCON lullaby, some people think I'm kidding. Okay. Today we're talking about, well, it's the birth of Emperor Parikshit. And we're continuing these question and answers. The whole Bhagavatam and the Gita is basically questions and answers. Why is that? Why questions and answers? Why not just tell us what the truth is? Yes, right. Is there a microphone? Yeah, so this can.
Because it's a conversation. It's a back and forth. It's not just like, here it is. There you go.
And if I want to teach something, why not just tell you? Why go back and forth?
Because if you really want to offer someone what they're ready to learn, they must be able to ask the questions that they're wishing to hear, and thus you're able to answer. Instead of just like, here's what I believe, take it or leave it. You know?
I do declare this is the truth. I do declare, very southern. And I've had people say it to me in quite that accent, like probably half a Lake City. Anyway, no insult to anybody here from Lake City, but they don't speak English there. Who's from Lake City? Okay. Yes.
All the world is always asking questions.
Yeah, that's a good point. He said that there's a purport saying there's always question and answers going on. Even the crows, they're talking to each other, asking questions like, where's the food? Where's the cat that's chasing us? They talk to each other. Recently, scientists have been able to decode some of the language of whales. They talk to each other. They're actually able to decode what we would hear as squeaks and what whales would hear as inquiries. So question and answers is how we learn things. And Krishna describes in the Gita he said this is Raja Vidya Raja Guya. It's the king of all knowledge. Raja Guya, it's also very secret, because in order to understand it, it takes a certain attitude required. So if we approach the question and answers with the right attitude, we really learn a lot. Now, there's a verse in the Gita that says how to do it. What does that verse say? A verse in the Gita that says, yes, go on. Inquire submissively, render service. Go on. The self-realized soul will impart knowledge. Correct. So if you inquire submissively. Now, inquire submissively, as we'll see later on in this chapter, doesn't, and many other chapters for that matter, does not mean whatever you say, I accept. We can take that position, and sometimes that's okay. Yet most of the dialogue we're seeing is not in that mood. It's okay, you're my authority, but I don't quite get it. Here's the problem I have. Can you explain it? A lot of the Gita is like that. Krishna, you're saying this path, the personal path, but then you talked about the impersonal path. Which is better? These are the kind of requires. It's submissive because I'm accepting the authority, but it's also not obsequious. Obsequious meaning I just accept anything. I'll give an example of that may work, then we'll get into the verses. Let's say randomly we had a temple president here. We'll just pick a random name. And the temple president gives an instruction. And you disagree with the instruction. Not that that would ever happen. So what do you do about that? Well, you can be obsequious and said, okay, you told me to move the truck, but so I'm going to move the truck, even though there's a car parked behind it. That would be obsequious. Not good. Yeah, exactly. Now, if he said, then you say, no, I can, but first we need to move that. So that's inquiring. Saying, you give an instruction, but I don't know if that's going to work. And if he says, well, do it anyway, you have to see, there's a process, because we're not trying to just be mindless. Prabhupada said, if we come just on sentiment, oh, this is nice, guess what? We leave on sentiment. But if we come with knowledge, we stay. And knowledge is required. It's not easy taking up Krishna consciousness. It's simple. I mean, you just get up early, you chant, it's simple. Who thinks it's easy? Anything you want to have to work for. I mean, we have a university right here. You want to get a degree, gotten degrees, it's simple. Just go to class and you pass your tests and turn in your papers. Boy, that wasn't easy. But at the end, when you do it, after your name, you get alphabet soup. BS, MA, PhD, you know what that stands for, don't you? BS, you all know what that is. MS is more of it. PhD is piled higher and deeper. Okay, we'll put that aside for the moment. Once I was in India, and one gentleman handed me his card. This could only happen in India. Because in India, they really value alphabet soup. So he handed me this true story. Truth is much stranger than fiction. So he handed me his card, and it said, BSc, Bachelor of Science, Nehru University. MSc, Oxford, pretty good. PhD, then in parentheses, BF. I've never heard of a BF degree. What a BF degree is. BFF, as in fail. Yes, it is. It was PhD, BF, but failed. He did everything for the PhD, but failed the exam, which is better than a master's. That really happened. So that was the idea of alphabet soup. Okay, but I digress a little bit. And that is a true story. So we'll get on here. Shanaka Uvacha, Asvatama, Parastrena, Brahma. I'll just check it because time is tight. Time is tight. Bramha, glasses for this. Shishnoru Tejasa, Uttaraya Hata, Garabha, Usani Jatma Puna, The great sage Shanika said, the womb of Uttara, mother of Maharaj Parikshit, was spoiled by the dreadful and invincible Brahmastra weapon released by Asvatthama, where Maharaj Parikshit was saved by the Supreme Lord. So here you have this horrible Asvatthama releasing what is somewhat of a focused nuclear weapon. It's like a nuclear weapon the size of this microphone that's aimed at the womb of Uttara, mother of Maharaj Parikshit, to kill Parikshit, to get rid of the dynasty. And later on in this chapter, you have a wonderful, wonderful story. I'll just give the preview, but that's not the subject for today. But Asvatthama did this most horrendous thing, killing a child in the womb with intention. And like this, it was considered a horrendous crime. And Asvatthama was caught. Then there was a debate. Do we kill Asvatthama? Or do we not kill him? And different people took different sides. And eventually, Draupadi took the side that prevailed. Said, I don't want his mother to suffer the way I'm suffering. My children were killed. I don't want him, his mother to suffer the same way. So they came up with a compromise. We called the elegant solution. Killed or not killed. No, I'm not going to get into that now. But in my work for ISKCON Resolve for Peacemaking, this is a story that guides all of us, our cadre of dozens of ISKCON mediators and peacemakers. This is a story, and we're going to get into it, that guides us. How do we come up with an elegant solution? When something happens, some of us would be inclined to kill Asvatthama. Some of us would be inclined, well, Parikshit didn't die, we caught him, what are we going to do, make his mother suffer? So each of you are wired a different way. Some of you are wired to think, kill the you-know-what, begins with a B. Some of you are thinking, no, we should be merciful. It's mercy versus justice. So let me ask an embarrassing question. Who in this room leans on mercy? Who leans on justice? We'll go mercy. Who leans on mercy as more important than justice? There's no right or wrong answer. Okay. Who leans on justice more important than mercy? Okay. Who doesn't give a damn? Oh, okay, so I kind of like everyone involved, So the truth is there is no right answer. We're inclined different ways. We're almost wired that way. Some are wired this way and that way. So as a mediator, we try to satisfy both sides without cutting the baby in the middle. It's called the elegant solution. Later on in this chapter, for those who haven't read it, you will learn the brilliant, elegant solution to justice versus mercy. And that is what guides every day, everything we do at ISKCON Resolve. The conflict arm of ISKCON, for those of you who don't know. So I'm giving a little bit of a preview because it's very important. But now we get the topic of Kali Yuga. So yeah, I went. I did mark some purports that I thought we ought to give some attention. So let me. I'll just go through the verses. You're right. How was a great Emperor Parikshit, who was a highly intelligent and great devotee, born in that womb? How did his death take place, and what did he achieve after his death? Because it's a story about Parikshit being cursed and dying in 7 days. I mean, would you like to know you're going to die in 7 days? Yeah, get prepared. Because, some people think, oh my God, I'll die in 7 days. Other things, well, I surely have another 7 days. I can use it. So you can look at it 2 different ways. Okay, well, we never know. We all respectfully want to hear about Parikshit Maharaj, to whom Sukadeva imparted transcendental knowledge. Please speak on this matter. Now, there's a piece of this purport that I want to read, but I'm going to finish the verses through 6 and get back to it. Sri Sutta Goswami said, Emperor Yudhisthira administered generously to everyone during his reign. He was exactly like his father. He had no personal ambition, was free from all sorts of sense gratification because of his continuous service to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. News even reached the celestial planets about Maharaj Yudhisthira's worldly possessions, the sacrifices by which he would attain a better destination, his queen, brothers, extensive land, his sovereignty. His fame was widespread. O Brahmanas, the opulence of the king was so enchanting that denizens of heaven aspired for it. But because he absorbed the service of the Lord, nothing could satisfy him except the Lord's service. So I'm going back to an earlier purport. There is a type of spiritual master and disciple must advertise in the age of color. Now, I'm going to give you context. This was written in the 60s, early 60s. And when Prabhu came to America, what he said became very true. Prabhupada was one of the first major gurus to make it to the West. Some others have come, but he was one of the most significant. And after Prabhupada came, the menagerie began. What do I mean by that? These weird ones coming. Really weird ones. We're going to discuss that in the purport. One of them, you rub the eyeball. If you rub your eyeball, you'll get flashes of white light. And he had a good technique. He could be zappy. And I went to hear him speak one time, about 73. Another devotee said, let's go hear this guy, see what he has to say. We were just curious, because he had a lot of followers. At that time, 14-year-old and pudgy. And so he gave a talk. And he said, Deos minyata dehe. You're not this body. Pretty good. Talked about it. You should surrender to the Supreme. Pretty good. He went on like that, quoting Gita. I thought, having read Gita several times, I thought it was pretty good until he got to the end. He says, by the way, I'm Krishna. And actually, I know a lot about him because a dear friend of mine, life member devotee, was from the same village in India he's from. And they know what a carny is? Like people at a carnival, they call them hucksters. They're cheaters at carnivals. They have tricks. Like, for example, you walk up and you throw a hoop and it lands over a bottle. And they do it every time. And then teddy bear. But everything is games and it really doesn't work. It's all tricks, and they switch hoops. It's all kinds of carny tricks. So this whole family going back generations were carnies. They could trick people. And the easiest people to trick were innocent hippies in America. I mean, God, that was easy. That was candy from the baby. So they started coming over and doing, rubbing eyeballs and doing different things. And they all ended up kind of in a bad place. So I was talking to a professor at the American Academy of Religion some years ago. It was around 20 years ago. It was at the Academy, 1,000 professors of religion from all the major universities in America and around the world. And one professor was I knew and was kind of favorable to what we did, said to him, it's really embarrassing what's going on with our movement. This scandal and that scandal and this thing, that thing going wrong. So many embarrassments. He says, you don't get it. You just don't get it. What don't I get? Thank God he didn't say everything. Anyway, what don't I get? He said, of all the movements that took over in the 60s, you're the only one that's still around, that's succeeding, that's growing, that has books, that has basis, has philosophy. You're a bunch of kids when Prabhupada left. You're all over 30. Of course, you're going to mess up a lot of things. That's obvious. But you're the survivor. You're the winner, not the loser. Don't you get it? It's quite dramatic what he said. He wasn't a devotee, but he'd written a book on devotees, knew devotees very well. That was a wake-up call for me. Now we're going to talk about the other people. Prabhupada was very concerned about that. So as a type of spiritual master and disciple, much advertised stage of Kali, it is said that the master injects spiritual force into the disciple by electrical current generated by the master, and the disciple begins to feel the shock. He becomes unconscious, and the master weeps for his exhausted store of the so-called spiritual assets. Such bogus advertising, and this really happened. I mean, I was there, it happened, I saw it. Prabhupada is not exaggerating. And he wrote this before he came to America. In America, they used to have a guru on every corner singing to God. In India in those days, on every corner there was someone saying they were God. Such bogus advertisements going on in this age, and the poor common man is becoming the victim of such advertisement. We do not find such folk tales in the dealings of Sukadev Goswami and his great disciple Maharaj Parikshit. The sage recited Bhagavatam in devotion, and the great king heard him, and the key word is properly. The king did not feel any shock of electrical current from his master, nor did he become unconscious while receiving knowledge. One should not, therefore, become a victim of these unauthorized advertisements by some bogus representative of Vedic knowledge. The sages of Naimisharanya were very respectful in hearing about Maharaj Parikshit because of his receiving knowledge from Sukadev by means of ardent hearing. Ardent hearing from the bona fide master is the only way to receive knowledge. There is no need for medical performance or occult mysticism for miraculous efforts. The process is simple, but only the sincere can receive the results. It doesn't mean there's not miraculous things and there's not amazing events that occur. I had a mystical experience myself with Prabhupada, but I know you don't want me to share it.
Please.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was quite a mystical experience, but no electrical shocks, just mystical beyond, just mystical to be amazing. I was studying the Gita way before I met Prabhupada in college under a Professor John Kohler, a professor of Oriental philosophy. And he was quite good when he wasn't bad. By that is, he had a real mixed understanding of things. But he knew the Gita. And while reading the Gita in English, I didn't know any Sanskrit, I came across a verse. I didn't know the verse of Pichet Sudat Shadam. Who knows that verse? Even if one commits the most abominable activities. It's the paraphrase, the devotees to be considered saintly because he's rightly situated. Now, the mentality in the 60s was very much, at least in my generation, was very black and white. Vietnam War, evil. People opposing civil rights, evil, that's good. We were black and white thinkers, very much so. It's very hard at that youthful time to see nuances. So when I read this verse, I said, this is contradictory. You can't be good and evil at the same time. At least my brain is kind of focusing on that. So I asked the professor, explain this to me. And he gave an answer which meant he didn't know. And the way he would say he didn't know was, it's intuitively obvious what it means, which means that he has no idea whatsoever. That was it. That's the only verse in the Gita which I actually knew in English, because I had thought about it a lot. Just the way my brain was wired. Not the most important verse in the Gita at all, but for me, it's for one reason or another, it struck a chord. And I'm a high school teacher in India. I hear about food relief efforts going on in a place called Mayapur. I didn't know what Mayapur was. But there was food relief for Bangladesh refugees. Just been a war between India and Pakistan. Pakistan did not come out the winner of that. And a lot of refugees from what was East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, were fleeing over the border, and right over the border, walking distance, is Mayapur. Mayapur at that time was nothing but rice paddies, dry rice paddies at that time. There was no buildings, nothing. Who's been to Mayapur? There was nothing, except one little hut for Prabhu that you can undergo. It's still there as a memorial. It's been expanded a little hut, thatched hut. And so I went up there to do food relief for Bangladesh refugees. And lo and behold, being the only guest at the first Mayapur festival who spoke English, I was invited to spend time with Prabhupada. I was able to do. And of course, that that's a wonderful opportunity. And then Prabhupada quoted the first Sanskrit verse to me. Guess which verse? That very verse. And then he says to me, so you know this? And he said it in Sanskrit. It's the only verse I knew in English. Guess what the last verse he quoted to me was? Same verse. Years later, I was reading the transcript of the conversation. I realized it didn't even hit me at the time. The only verse I knew in Gita was the one Prabhupada quoted to me and then said, so you know this. And he knew I didn't know Sanskrit. We had talked for a while before that. He knew I didn't know. That part where we talked before wasn't recorded, but he knew. So it was a mystical thing. So mystical things, I'm not saying mystical things don't happen, great realizations don't happen, but this phony guru business. I'll tell you another phony guru story. I might have told this before, but it's worth repeating. I was living in Patna doing some training. Patna is in Bihar. And I heard I hadn't met the devotees in India yet, and there was another group there. I was going to show you a video, but we probably won't get to it. There was another group there called the Ananda Marg. Anybody heard of them? They're very prominent in India. They're very political. They get very involved in politics. A lot of young people join, young Americans. And their headquarters in Patna used to be the Peace Corps headquarters, so it was easy for me to find. So I went there, just, hey, another group, and, Westerners my age. I'll meet them. So I met them and tell me your philosophy, which made no sense to me at all. And tell me what else? Well, our guru's God. Well, that's good. Nice to know. Where is he? Always want to meet God, shake hands. So if I do meet God and he sneezes, what do I say to him? I always wonder about that one, but that's not the topic of the class today. God bless you. We got to figure that one out. When somebody will figure that out, let me know. But anyway, it was an opportunity to meet God. I said, okay, I'd like to meet him. The guru, where is he? Well, he's in prison. We got arrested. They're very, very political. I said, well, which prison? I can go visit a prison, He said, well, he's in the prison hospital. Oh, what's wrong with him? Well, his hemorrhoids are really bad. I'm thinking, this is God in the prison hospital with hemorrhoids? Scratch that one off my list. And, various ways I would scratch various gurus off the list. And these are the kind of gurus Prabhupada was talking about. Oh, Leela. Yeah. It's called the hemorrhoid Leela. Hey, I got to the bottom of that one pretty quickly. And I met another guru, another young American my age, around 22 at that time. And I was in Connaught Circus in Delhi. It was the main shopping area at that time in Delhi. That might have changed, but it's like where American Express and places like that. And I was I was in Delhi for my Hindi training. So I went to Connaught for whatever reason. I run into a young American, kind of looks like you, kind of young guy and American, not long hair. Because the only people you would generally meet were hippies, and you could tell they had long hair. Now, when I went to India, people made me cut my hair. I did have long hair at one time. Now I just long for some hair, but that's a different matter. I said to him, "Oh, what are you doing here?" He said, "Well, I found a guru and I'm serving him and everything. Let's go to lunch and talk about this." Went to a little veggie cafe right there. Tell me about your story, because my age, doing the same thing, looking for a guru. Well, my guru is so wonderful. He can go like this and dust appear. And he can move an object from one place to another. And he can do this as well. Me at that age, some mystical things like that. That was pretty attractive. That's cool. Wow. He can do all these things. And he knows the Gita inside out. Well, hey, that is what I wanted to hear. Then something struck me. Wait, you found a guru who's in South India, knows the Gita inside out, has all kinds of mystical powers, and you're in New Delhi. I don't get it. What are you doing in Delhi? I'm going home. Well, why are you going home? Now, the next part is a little shocking, but the BBC did an expose on this guru after he passed on a few years ago, and they documented what I'm going to say 100 times over. So it's pretty factual. I said, well, why are you going home? You met your guru, he knows the Gita, has mystical things, it's everything you wanted, and you're in Delhi to go home. I said, I got tired of him reaching into my pants. Excuse the grossness, but that's the truth. That was the truth. And one guru after another fell into this category. Now, it's not our job to criticize others. I'm not even mentioning names for the, as you notice. It's not our job to be critics of others. And Bhakti Siddhanta used to say, when you point a finger at someone else, guess what? You got 3 pointed at you. Yeah, and it's not our job to criticize others. It is our job to protect our own devotional creeper. And to protect that creeper, Prabhupada is giving a caution here. So I'm telling these stories not to denigrate someone, but to give a caution for ourselves, not to be sentimental and foolish in these things. And that is the essence of what this purport is saying. So I think we'll stop here and see if there are any questions or comments. I do have a video to play, but maybe it's less relevant. Yes, please.
In 1974, she was in a cult that did the Maha Mantra, and she had a name. It was Krishna something. And when I came into Krishna consciousness, I asked my aunt about it, and my aunt said that the head of this cult was saying he was God, and he got arrested in India, and this was in the 70s.
Yeah, I know who that was. Yeah,
like she said Babaji or something like that.
Yeah, there was no short. In America's easy. You don't find God at every corner. At that time in India, maybe it's not like that now. We had God, people saying the God at every corner. Here, you get people saying you go to hell at every corner, so it's a little different. That's the same context. Do they still come on campus? Yeah, remember I was there one year on campus, and we had this Bible thumper. You know, they call them Bible thumpers because they bang the book thumping, so they're called Bible thumpers. So he's on there, and the students are surrounding him, all with plates of Krishna lunch. And he's going, all of you are going to hell. All of you ladies are prostitutes. and all of you men or whatever. And he's just like bashing them, and you're all going to hell unless you surrender to Jesus. The normal trip, you've heard it before. And he's going on, and he goes, and the Catholics are going to hell, and the Mormons are going to hell, and the Jews are going to hell, and the Muslims are already in hell. And he's going on like that. And then he says, and the Krishnas are going to hell. And at that moment, the whole circle of people eating prasadam, I was there watching, boo, 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 boo. And at that point, the guy was so stunned, so amazingly stunned. He admitted, well, when I was younger, I used to chant Hare Krishna. He actually blurted it out. Then he went back to everyone going to hell. He was so stunned by it. So you get these people in America like it, the thumpers. And in India, the thumpers are a little more insidious because they're actually God. Because that Mayavadi pervades. So I hope does that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions or comments? Yes. Say again. Is it mercy or justice?
In the beginning of the class, you mentioned that you asked who is merciful and who is after justice. So can you do both? Can you be both at the same time?
Well, that's the secret of the Asvatthama story. Krishna intervened and found a way to do both. And as an ISKCON mediator, that's my goal. Find a way to do both, to balance it. And some people are wired, they can only see justice. That's 10% of society. Others are wired, they can only see mercy. An integrated person, the best, and the way the Gita vision would be to look at both, to balance it. For example, if somebody is coming and attacking a devotee, being merciful isn't to say, can I give that stick you have is not very good. Can I give you a better stick to hit him with? That's not very merciful. It's kind of stupid. So what's required to balance this is a good heart and intelligence. Now, how do you get a good heart? The secret of that is a mode of nature. In other words, you can be merciful in the mode of ignorance, merciful in the mode of goodness, merciful in the mode of passion. I'll give examples. I see a drunk on the street, and I'll be merciful and give him $5. That's not very good. He's just going to buy something else to drink and get himself in trouble. I can give him a pakora. It's a mode of goodness. He gets some prasadam, and it satisfies him. I can give him in a mode of passion, which I bring in the TV cameras and say, look how good I am. Put this on the evening news. I helped this old lady across the street, even though she really didn't want to cross the street. That kind of thing. So it's the modes of nature that determine this. So we want to do justice in the mode of goodness. We want to do mercy in the mode of goodness. And when we're doing these things in lower modes, they don't balance. But if we bring ourselves by our spiritual practice in mode of goodness, then we will be able to balance mercy and justice for the most part. Some people are just wired. People are wired that way, should not be involved in decisions of mercy and justice. Yeah, generally. I mean, to be merciful in a mode of ignorance is a disservice. I'll give you an example. In the Gita, there's a verse that talks about speaking in the mode of goodness. Anybody tell me what that verse says? Talking in the mode of speaking in the mode of goodness. Say again? Pleasing and beneficial. Yes, pleasing and beneficial. So let's say I walk up, somebody just had a new baby, and I walk up to the mother and I say, your baby is ugly. That may be truthful, but not beneficial. Yeah. And there was one baby was born, and the baby was so ugly, the mother didn't know what to do. True story. I mean, ugly as they made, the face was distorted, everything. So when a baby comes in birth, they can really end up with some weird stuff. See, some of you, it hasn't changed. No, my Okay, sorry, I didn't mean that. Okay. So this baby was born really weird. Mother didn't know what to do, give it back, what to do. The wrong baby. God, what went on? That baby grew up to be Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor, the very famous actress, considered one of the most beautiful women on earth. So you can't, judge a baby by its face how it's going to end up. You just don't know. But to walk up and say something that's not beneficial but truthful. So people think I am being just, I'm being truthful. But to say the truth in a hurtful way is not the mode of goodness, according to the Gita. It's not beneficial. So we have to say things. And it's very hard. Take, for example, a random temple president. Okay. Now, if we could find one. So you have to go and have the very distasteful duty, which I have to do at times, of correcting people. And it's always distasteful. I mean, I just find it horrible I have to do that, but I have to. People work for me. Sometimes I really need to be corrected. So how to do it in a way that's not my ego saying, damn, they were so stupid, now I got to fix all this, damn. Like that. No, I have to do it in a way of compassion that benefits that person. They learn a lesson, move on. That requires mode of goodness. And I find myself being in management positions, it's a daily struggle to cling to the mode of goodness. It's so easy to drop down the passion. So I struggle with that. I have to struggle hard so that I balance justice and mercy. And there's one of the Psalms talks about justice and mercy. Did you know that? Oh, come on. I mean, when I was in elementary school, every day we'd have to public school, begin class with a psalm from the Old Testament. It's considered, Jews and Christians and Muslims all accept that literature. There were no Hindus in it, so it didn't matter. Surely justice, you know that? 23rd Psalm? Pull up the 23rd Psalm on the screen, please. Yeah. Okay. Or maybe 24th. Yeah, 24th. Yeah, 24th. Yeah. I don't remember it precisely, but a beautiful song. Is it 23? Okay, I get mixed up on these things. Here it is. I always say this every day. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leads me, listen to this, in paths of righteousness. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, that's us every day, by the way. I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. That's a way of a blessing. Blessings of those times. My cup overflows with joy. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life. I will dwell in the house of the Lord. Oh, then there's there's a verse. And maybe it's the next song, but it goes that surely justice and mercy shall guide me. I may have the wrong mixed up. So the idea of justice and mercy being balanced, it's everywhere. It is everywhere. And it is very, very present in the Gita. And this particular chapter is a quintessence of that discussion. So I'm giving you something good to look forward to next week. a very, very important subject. With that, the guides and justice. Here it is. All the paths of the Lord are mercy and truth. That's kind of what I'm thinking of. So, any last question? If not, we'll stop here and get ready. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class, Prabhu. Just really quick question. Would you say that prioritizing simplicity is key to finding the elegant solution between the balance of justice and mercy?
Simplicity?
Yes.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes no. Sometimes the elegant solution can be quite complicated. You have a multi-party dispute, and coming up with a solution, I'm doing one in 15 minutes.
Hare Krishna.
I have to join a call on that. And sometimes it can be quite complicated because of many people, many factors. Sometimes it can be very simple. So I'd say as a general rule, simplicity is good, but it's not always practical.
Krishna, we will pray for you.
Okay. Yeah. I'm mostly retired from this resolve to do Podcast Institute, but things still happen. So some things require attention. Okay, with that, have a blessed day. Enjoy your prasadam. Think of justice and mercy and the mode of goodness. And today's class would have been worthwhile. Hare Krishna. Krishna